In this episode, we'll find out how to get a new phone after a motorcycle trip. Hello and welcome to Best Motorcycle Roads. I'm Tom.
And I'm Todd. And we have over 30 years of motorcycling experience and 15 years of planning and riding motorcycle trips. We're here to share with you what we've learned.
Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is simple. Make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. We'll dive into technology, planning, packing, the routes, other tips, and everything in between.
From essential prep to unforgettable routes, we've got you covered. Before we kickstart today's journey, we ask you to sign up for BMR Rider Alerts. It's our way of keeping you in the loop with the latest rides, tips, and stories. We promise no spam, only the essentials to enhance your motorcycling adventure. Join the BMR Road Crew today. We'll put a link in the show notes.
The Toolkit is our next segment about motorcycle gear reviews and tips, and that's why we call it the Toolkit. Let's talk rain gear today, Todd. There's a big difference in rain gear. I guess we can start with the size, right? And when I think of size, I just think the size that it packs down to, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of options, and you can save money by buying cheap rain gear. The negative is generally the cheaper the rain gear, the bigger it is, and you're probably going to get a little wet. But as long as you have enough room in your bags, it's not that big of a deal. And if you're not using it that much, you can find ways to pack it down. Mm-hmm. But I guess the better rain gear definitely packs much smaller. Mm-hmm. And I think it does I feel like it does a better job of the rain protection. When you think about buying some of the nicer rain gear, use that waterproofing once a year on it as well. I think you want to hit the seams, you want to hit the zippers. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people talk about, especially multiple days in the rain. I think that saturation of those areas is what probably causes to fail slightly. So we've got a great guide on rain gear. We've got that in the show notes. It's called The Rider's Guide to Selecting the Perfect Motorcycle Rain Suit. But I think that, I guess the top three for me, and you tell me what you think, but I think somewhere between Frogg Toggs, Tourmaster, and then Harley-Davidson might have the best rain gear that I've seen. What say you?
Yeah, I'm currently using Nelson Rig,
okay.
the Solo Storm suit, the jacket and pants. I have some booties left over from a previous rain suit, but what I really like about it's very lightweight and it really packs down well. And the jacket wraps up into its own pouch that's on the inside of the jacket. So, it makes a pretty small storage bag when you're done. That jacket is 100% waterproof. It's got a nice thin hoodie in the neck roll so that when it does start to rain, you can pull that hoodie up over your head, put your helmet on, and that way you don't get the water dripping down your back. And that's really one of the easiest ways to get wet. It runs down your back, comes off your helmet, down into your collar, and then down your back. With that hood on, there's no place for the water to go.
It.
Yeah. So that's one I have. It was a little more expensive than some of the previous rain gear I have, but Nelson Rig, I should say, makes a great product. It's available on their website. It's available on RevZilla.
Yeah.
I would take a look at that one as well. I like it.
And we've talked about buying stuff. Most of the stuff is available on Amazon. But, like a RevZilla, it's a great site. They do a lot of work on that site. And they're for motorcyclists, by motorcyclists. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just another one of those things I think really, if we can support those, go buy it at your local place if you want to, nelsonrigs.com or whatever there's rigs.com. It's good to support those people. Amazon is supporting Amazon, and it's great when you need it quick, but it is nice to support some of these motorcycle-centric places too. Yeah. Another kind of side note you made me think of when you're talking about that is the other thing that rain gear is good for is when it gets super cold. I know you haven't rode when it's crazy cold, but if you put your motorcycle or if you put your rain gear on underneath your other, it does help cut that wind off, and that will help in a pinch as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything to block that wind from coming through is a big plus.
On the website, we also there's some more expensive premium rain gear. I know Climb makes some really nice gear. If you want to go really nuts, Aero Stitch is probably the top-notch riding coat pants. They also have riding one-piece suit. The professionals, the really serious guys get Aero Stitch. It's custom made for you. Everything's built in, and it's pretty awesome stuff. It comes with a price tag, but it's worth it. So, yeah.
Ridewise is the section where we focus on planning and safety tips. And today we'll talk about safety as far as when it's raining.
Yeah.
I think you really want to find some gloves. On most trips you want to carry several different pairs of gloves, and one pair of gloves should be for rain. But I often ride with fingerless gloves, so my fingertips are available to touch my phone. My GPS is motorcycle GPS, so it works with fingers in my gloves. But I would bring multiple pairs of gloves, because at night, if you had gotten wet during the day, it's nice to kind of let those dry overnight and put on a dry pair in the morning. The other thing I'd like to suggest is, and you can buy these by the dozens or by 100 pack, is those. It's like a latex or a rubber glove that's made for medical or food, serving food. Those thin. Those are waterproof. And if you have gloves that aren't waterproof, just put a pair of those on and then slip them into your gloves, and then you're waterproof.
It's a great hack.
Wet hands all day is terrible. The gloves help you grip your bars. That's why I suggest gloves, even if it's not raining. It helps your grip. But
yeah, I think in those surgical style gloves, they pack so small. You could have 10 pairs and not even know it. That's a great tip. Like I say, there's nothing worse than wet gloves. Well,
except
wet boots.
Wet boots.
I was going to ask you about that earlier, but the booties. Talk about the booties, because what are those for?
Yeah, well, the booties are just to shed the water. When you're riding in the rain, to keep the water from going on the laces or going up your legs. They generally strap underneath your boot. They cover the tip of your toe, and then they'll go, like a crew sock, up your legs. So. If you can get some booties too to keep your feet dry, that's a huge plus.
Yeah, and they do sell some small pack boot dryers too, which are nice. Even if it doesn't rain, some days it's really hot, sweat, all that. Never bad thing to have a dry boot the next morning. So
yeah, I haven't tried those, but I think you have a set.
Yeah,
of those,
I do.
right?
They're great. So, but what about riding in the rain, Todd? So we're all, you talked. Talked to me before about just the pattern riding, but spread things out a little bit in the rain.
Yeah, give yourself some extra distance for sure. Having those communicators on is so helpful. Hitting a puddle at 50 miles an hour, can cause you to hydroplane. So, the person who's leading the group needs to let everyone know, hey, watch, there's a big puddle on the right side of the road. Sometimes in the rain you don't want to stop, because the more you stop, sometimes you just get more wet. So, just be really careful. Keep communications. You got to slow down a little bit. Keep your communications going, and just be careful. Ride with a little more space. But just be smart. Yeah,
I have also on the new bike, I have some, I don't know what you would call them, lasers maybe on the front. But I noticed my first ride with that bike, I flew down to Nashville, rode the bike home. Half that ride was in the rain. What I was really shocked at was I have some white lights, but I can put yellow covers on them. Wow, what is that difference that makes? It's hard to see motorcycles in the daytime, in the regular, everything's normal. When it's raining, it's worse. People can't see as well and everything else. And having a nice set of lights, to me, is another really nice thing. Extra lighting when it's raining, something that you don't want to forget about.
And what do you think about treating your windshields?
Prior to your trip. A lot of people do that. And we don't have windshield wipers. I actually have seen one Goldwing with it, but different story for a different day. But you want that to fly off there. A lot of times you're having to get down under that windshield, or you're bringing your windshield up so that the rain isn't just pounding you in the face. So it's a good point. There's some treatments for that. Awesome. We're on to the mile marker. It's our story segment of the show here. I thought this kind of ties in great with our trip recently to Minnesota. Do you want to talk about that? We had a good plan. We had good roads. We may have forgotten one bit of due diligence.
Yeah, well, luckily we didn't. But Tom, in general, you take charge of planning the route and all that kind of. I think maybe Brad.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, Brad planned
just
this one, but he planned a great loop route for us all the way up through northern Minnesota. Did we go into? Where else did we go? Was it just
Minnesota?
Minnesota. Yep. Okay, I was thinking we hit Wisconsin as well, but so he had this route planned, and just a couple of days before we left, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of reservations because I knew where we were going to stop, and the first night was going to be in Duluth, and we were like, Duluth is a huge city. There'll be plenty of hotel rooms,
no problems.
But I thought I'd check, and when I got calling around, there was nothing available. You're like, what is going on here? Well, as it turned out, there was a big event in town. I think it was Taylor Swift maybe was in town or something. So what do you do? It's a good thing we weren't winging it. It's a good thing we didn't just go ahead and ride and try and get there because I couldn't find a place to stay within an hour of Duluth. So what we decided to do was just take the loop we had and just run it in the reverse direction.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't get to Duluth until our fourth night. And
the Swifties were gone.
The Swifties were gone, and there was plenty of room. So that's part of being flexible and planning ahead. Sometimes you can't just flip the coin and go wherever the road takes you because you pull into town at 7, 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden there's no place to stay within an hour or two. That's rough.
Right. And we needed the suits. We needed the rain suits.
Oh gosh, we needed the rain suits bad. We, I think out of the 5 days, it rained 3 of those days, and rained hard a couple of times.
Oh man!
And
I don't have the hood on mine, so you can just imagine where the rain was running.
Yeah, it was running right down your back. I know. Yeah.
We had some great stops there too, but I think one of my favorite was the Viking statue. Is that in Alexandria, Minnesota? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. The other thing too. I learned my lesson for the second time. I don't know why I didn't learn it after the first time, but aside to having my GPS on the motorcycle, which is rainproof and everything proof, I can touch it with my gloves on. I always have my phone there as well, and I don't know why I do this, but I have it plugged in, because I'm sometimes using it for GPS, sometimes using it for music or whatever. And to start to sprinkle, and I go and put a Ziploc bag over it, and maybe put a twist tie at the bottom. Well, when it's raining really hard in that rain and mist and everything's just blowing, and then you're going to stop, and I got to take the phone off or something and make a call, and you go to stick it back in there. Well, that wire now has been sitting out in the rain. I've burned up 2 phones now on motorcycle trips because I was trying to use Ziploc baggies to protect my phone. It just doesn't work because as soon as you pull the plug out, it's wet and, wind blows the rain up in there. So, keep the phone in your pocket because I've ruined 2 phones doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so handy to have that phone there, changing music, doing this, doing that. But man, when it rains,
yeah. Well, and now you've shown me a couple different things where you can actually buy a CarPlay. What do they call it?
Yeah, motorcycle mounted like a CarPlay Android Auto. So it's totally the way.
Yeah, and then keep your phone in your pocket, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So from that, I guess also just essential items checklist as you're starting to plan this trip, packing for a motorcycle trip. We've done a pretty good job of starting to build out a checklist. It's because what I do is I don't keep all the things that we take on our long trips on the bike all the time, and so I think we've started to build out some checklists. We've got these on bestmotorcycleroads.com. Again, we'll put a note in the show notes. But not only is it just the gear, helmets, jackets, gloves, tools, appropriate clothing for the weather, and then don't forget at night. You got to bring those clothes because you don't probably want to wear the same clothes you're wearing all day, all night. Yeah. So just post ride, relaxing clothes. I think just based on those needs will change based on how long you're going to ride. But, you and I have both been victims of overpacking pretty much every time we go. Oh, yeah. So it doesn't seem like I've ever had not quite enough clothes. So.
No.
And then sometimes you do forget things. I think I have 3 pairs of the exact same swimsuit from Walmart. And I think you've had some issues on the road too.
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned is headlights will go out at non-opportune times, and without a headlight, if you only have one headlight on your motorcycle, you're in big trouble. But I have two, so luckily, I had one on. But carry an extra light bulb with you, a headlight bulb. They're cheap, they're small, they're light. Because if you're, getting into dusk and nighttime and you lose a headlight, it can be pretty serious. So
For sure.
yeah, carry one of those.
Yep. So we'll share that list too. And then kind of that ties us two things back together as we like to talk about just efficiently packing. Like, on a motorcycle, you're on two wheels. So the lower that you can keep weight, the better. Just helps balance the bike. It's a big deal when you get to the end of the day, you're tired, you're riding in the rain. If your bike is a little top heavy, you get tipsy at times. You stick that foot out, oily road. You just don't want to lay that bike down. So I think that's always a good one. You've used packing cubes, I think, before, haven't you?
Yeah, I still do. And the other thing with packing cubes is I'll put the packing cubes inside a kind of a duffel bag that's shaped for my motorcycle bags. So when I get to the hotel, I can open up my side luggage and my trunk and just grab two handles and pull those bags out and, strap my... I can pull those two bags out, those handles, and just head on into the hotel. So I would, if you can get some bags that fit inside your motorcycle luggage, that makes it a lot easier when you get to your destination.
Yeah. There's also some dry bags out there that you can get. I like buying two dry bags, put them both in the same bag, put all your clean clothes in one and nothing in the other. And then as you start to go through the trip, you can move your clean clothes to your dirty clothes. And the nice thing about using a small, thin dry bag for that is it doesn't transfer that musty smell over from clothes to clothes.
Yeah.
So I think, again, as we've talked about, less is more when you're packing. It's just being careful. And then don't forget, you got to pack all the chargers for your phones. And yeah. I think we got CPAPs, maybe a bunch of CPAPs that come in. So there's a lot of extra stuff that you might not necessarily be bringing always. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're always packing laptops
right?
and tablets and
the works.
Cameras and everything else with us, too.
Yeah.
Okay, the podcast can be found at bestmotorcycleroads.com/podcast. All the information you need will be there. But you can subscribe on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Pocket Cast, and YouTube. And Roadside Q&A. In this segment, we'll be looking to answer your questions and take any suggestions that you have for topics. And we'll provide insights and advice based on our years of planning trips and our riding experiences.
Let's close out with the last mile. Todd, you want to start?
Yeah, so number one, rain suits are essential on multi-day trips. If you're taking a one-day trip and you're right, it's not going to rain, fine, but rain suits, essential. Gloves, something waterproof on your gloves. Keep your boots dry or bring a boot dryer. Pack your heavy stuff low, like you said. And keep that rain suit really up at the top of your luggage. Make it easily accessible because when it starts to rain, you just got to pull off, quick make that change, and get back on the road.
Yeah. I like to pack the rain suit in the right saddlebag too because sometimes you're going to pull off to the side of the road. So you open up the right saddlebag, you're protected from the road. You're not trying to step half out into traffic.
Yeah.
I like that. And the same, pack that extra pair of gloves and the rain suit together. Other than that, I think just pack lighter than you want to. It's probably not going to kill you to wear those jeans or something for that extra day.
Yeah.
You can dry off, you can rinse a shirt at a hotel. And a lot of the hotels we go to have laundry too. So, you can find laundry almost every time. So, yeah. The next episode we'll have is called Pre-Trip Motorcycle Maintenance 101. If this episode revved up your day, don't just keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share it with your crew. We're all about the thrill of the ride and the bond it creates.
Keep the spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.